Next examples of Apache Pig.
So maybe we should wait for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'll anyway start. Let the others join.
Okay.
So last time we had started discussing some examples of uh, Apache Pig basic syntaxes. So today we'll utilize the remaining time for more such examples. And the next example that we will try is an example for filtering of data. Share the screen, which I hope you can code in Notepad. So what we are doing in this example is we are going to load the file called as group.txt into a relation called as student details. There's one change from the example that we saw last time. So here, in a couple of places, we see that the data type that we are using is int. Last time we had seen an example where all the data types were char array, that is string or text. But here we are using a data type which is called as int. And then we are using a statement called as filter. Here, what it will do is it will filter the student details relation, that is this relation, for a specific condition. The condition is by city is equal to Chennai. Only those students who belong to Chennai will be filtered. The result will be stored in filter underscore data. Then we can dump this filter underscore. Maybe let me try this example and then you can try it. I'll open a fresh command prompt with the admin privileges. Then I'll go to the code directory, which is code pig miscellaneous on D drive. And the name of the code that we are trying is filter.pig. So I will say pig -x local filter dot. The filter statement works like the SQL where clause. Just as using the where clause in SQL, we can filter the data based on the conditions that we want to check. Here, the equivalent statement is filter. As we can see, the data that gets filtered is only for the records where the city is Chennai. If we look at the original data file, is we are using a file called as group.txt. I'll open group.txt. So here we see that the students have various cities here: Hyderabad, Kolkata, Delhi, Pune, all that. And it has filtered only those records where the city is Chennai. Once again, what is the code? It simply says filter data is equal to filter student details by city is equal to Chennai. So look at the equal to operator. So it is the equal to operator as used in the various programming languages, not the equal to operator of SQL. So here also equal to means assignment, but double equal to means compare or equality. I'll upload this file on the chat. Then you can try it. This is the code. If anyone has any questions, please ask.
So are the commands like dump, filter, generate, are these case sensitive?
No, they aren't. The only commands which are case sensitive are this pick storage and commands which are related to functions or grouping of data. We will see some such functions like sum, average, and others. Those are case sensitive, but others aren't. Like you can write them in the uppercase, lowercase combinations, whatever suits you.
Okay, sir.
You can also add compound conditions. So here, for example, we can say and age say equal to 23. In the current output, if we see, there are two records that have appeared. So this student with age 23 and this student with age 24, both having city as Chennai. But again, we can apply the and or not type of syntaxes to make this a compound condition instead of a single simple condition. So here, it will also do the filtering on the basis of the age field. Okay, so if we now dump the data, we should see only one row, which is this top row. And in addition to this, obviously you can add as many conditions as you want. And in addition to the dump statement, we have another statement that we can try, which is the store statement. Here we can say store filter data into output. You can either comment this statement or you can even retain it, doesn't matter. So to retain it, output will come here as usual for the dump statement. If you comment it, no output will come here. And in any case, because we have added this store statement, what will happen is the output, that is filter data, will get stored into a directory called as output. So this will cause the pig script to create a directory, local directory called as output in our current drives. So you can try that also. I'll also show what happens on my computer, but you can also try it while you are trying this example. So it will create this directory called as output in your local folder or local directory. And inside that, you will see the output file. So we create 4 files as usual, the way we saw in the case of HDFS. When we run a Python or a Java program on HDFS, we know that it creates multiple output files, some to show the status messages, some to show the output. So here also we will be able to see multiple files in this directory called as output. So let me actually add this code to my script. Okay, I'll even add that condition and age equal to 23. I may have an output directory already existing. So first delete it if it's there. Yeah. Okay, and now I will run this code so that hopefully it will store the output in this directory called as output. Let me run the code here. Okay, I have not removed the dump statement. It will still show me one record actually for the student where city is equal to Chennai and age is equal to 23. Because this window is very short, Let's see the output directory directly, whether it has created some records. Yeah. So as we can see, it has stored this record, right? Where age is equal to 23, city is equal to Chennai. Okay, how many of you are able to run this successfully? Just raise your hand and then we will proceed. Okay, shall we proceed to the next example? Yes. As you can see, Pig is very useful where you do not want to write too long code and you don't want to have the complicated MapReduce way of coding, compiling, executing. So here with very short code, which is quite intuitive and maybe is a sandwich of traditional and SQL code, somewhere in between. With such code, you can easily accomplish what you normally would do using a lot of code in Java and even to a certain extent Python. Maybe in Python it's smaller, but still the way you code is pretty tedious because of the MapReduce structure. Whereas here, the MapReduce function still happens, but it happens internally. So that is something that the programmer doesn't have to worry about. Internally, Pig will fire the necessary map jobs and subsequently the reduce jobs. So how to do the map reduce equivalent is not the programmer's headache. Pig will take responsibility. Okay, let's move to the next example. I'll just stop sharing the screen for a moment. Next, we will see how to use the grouping structure. Here, we will use the group by clause. As you can see here, first it says group data is equal to group student details. It will do the grouping of this student details relation by age. And then it will store that data into output 1 directory. Next, it will do the grouping on multiple fields by age, and within the age on the field city. And then it will store that output into a second file under the directory output 2. So as a result, what will happen is there are two group by clauses and there are two store clauses. So the first group by statement will do the grouping on the basis of the age column or field, store the output here. And the second one will cause the grouping to happen on two fields, age followed by city, and store the output in a second directory. The group by clause here is quite similar to what we have in SQL. Again, if anything is not clear, please ask. Okay, just take a picture of this so that I'll complete the attendance in the meanwhile.
Sir, I have one request before you move forward with the with what you're teaching. Uh, I have missed in a few classes, and I'm not able to find the material that you have taught us in between. So it would be my humble request if you could put up all those files and PPTs because I cannot find them on the Teams.
I have not used PPTs as such. Largely, that is
Well,
code.
like I've not missed like continuous classes. There's like few classes I missed in between. So just to connect in those gaps and all, I need to refer certain study material. So I believe you have them readily accessed with you. So thereby it would be a great help to me as well as other students who are trying to catch up.
Yeah, I'll do that. But there are no PPTs as such. Okay? Largely, those are code files, and the data that the code files work on. So I'll see which files those are, and I'll try to share.
Thank you, sir. That would really help a lot. That's all I have to say for the time being.
All right, so I'll complete the attendance. Division A, PRN1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 11, 15, 16, 18, 23, 28,
Sir, 28.
47, 48,
38 present, sir.
40, 41, 44, 6, 48,
46 present, sir.
48, 51, 52, 53, 54, 56, 59, 60, 61, 64, 69,
PRN
70,
70 present. Yeah, PRN 70 present.
71, 72, 73,
73 present, sir.
24, 25,
The PRN 1 present.
76, 77, 78,
PRN 78 present, sir.
80, 81, 4, 85, 87, 89, 91, 92, 95, 96, 97, 98, 100, 103, 104, 105, 107, 108, 109. Okay, division A, is anyone remaining?
So PRN 1 present.
RN1. Okay. Division B, RN5, 7,
7
8,
present.
8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 17,
17 present, sir.
19,
19 present, sir.
20, 22, 24,
Present, sir.
6,
Present, sir.
7,
Present, sir.
29,
Present, sir.
30, 31,
Present, sir.
33,
Present, sir.
4, 36,
36 present, sir.
39, 43, 45, 7, 50, 5, 7, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 79, 82, 83, 86, 90,
90 present, sir.
93, 99, 101. Okay, Akash, PRN 5, I have noted. All right, I hope you are able to run this example. Any questions? Okay. Next example. Just like SQL, here we have the order by clause. That is what we'll try next. Just putting another file on the chat called as student.txt. Pretty similar to what we have, just that it has some slightly different structure. So more important is the code. So as usual, we load that file, and here we use the order by clause. We say student underscore order is equal to order student by student name descending. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen, of course, and I hope you can see this. So here we are using the descending keyword. By default, as usual, it will be ascending, or you can explicitly also say ASC to indicate ascending order. And if you drop it all together, of course, it will remain ascending. And then there is another clause called as limit. So it says only pick the topmost 4 records. You can specify whatever number that you like. So those many records will be picked up. Then you can either dump them or you can store them. Okay. So once again, student underscore order is equal to order student. Student is nothing but this by student name descending. And then we say limit student order by 4 records. So this is how we can limit the number of records that you want to dump into the output. Here again, you can use the dump statement or you can use store. That's also quite straightforward, but if anything is not clear, ask.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Abhi.
Sir, can you please provide us with some sample questions so that we can prepare for exams accordingly?
You mean for Apache Pig or which part?
No, sir, for MapReduce.
See, for MapReduce, uh, there may be some coding that will be involved in the exam, but the questions will be fairly similar to what we have discussed in the class. And plus, as I have already mentioned, for Java examples especially, I'll not be worried about the exact syntax in terms of the import statements and even some part of the main method. But in terms of the examples or the types of questions, those will be fairly similar to what we have already discussed. They'll not be greatly different. I mean, I can still give maybe a couple of examples, not a problem, but those will be again quite identical to what we have tried. So that what you want?
So, sir, only programming questions will come?
No, see, as you must be knowing, it's going to be a paper for all the subjects, a combination of MCQs and some detailed questions. So in the detailed questions, there may be some questions which will be programming. In MCQs, of course, there is no question of having any code.
Okay, sir. And sir, pig is not coming, right?
No, pig is only for uh, your understanding. Plus, since some students had actually requested that as a part of their internship or just to mention that on the CV when they are appearing for interviews in the sixth semester, those who are not placed. There's a request from some students that we could at least cover the basics of Apache Pig so that we can add it. And that's the reason we are covering it. But that will not be a part of the evaluation.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So we did Java code and Python code both. So is there something mentioned there to write code in that language?
Yes, it will be clearly mentioned. And if it is not mentioned clearly by any chance, then you are free to write whichever language you want. But if it's explicitly mentioned, of course, you will have to write in that language. As I've said again and again, I said just now, repeat, I will not be worried too much about the syntactical part, but I'll be looking more at the logical part.
Okay.
Right, done. Shall we move to the next one? I'm just trying to give you a rapid practice of some key features of Pig in the remaining time so that if required, you can try other examples on your own. And it should also tell you that MapReduce programming is not necessarily very strict and complex way to write code. It can also be actually quite simple or fun like we do in SQL. Just as initially, maybe we find SQL a bit tricky, over a period of time as we practice, it starts becoming simpler and simpler. Same is the case with Pig. We can actually solve reasonably complicated problems using Pig quite easily without writing too much of complex code. That can be quite handy in a lot of practical situations. Okay, those of you who are trying, how many of you are able to run this again? Can I please have a count? Okay, shall we move to the next example or should we wait? Tejal says yes. All right, I think I'll move to the next example. Not sure how many of you are trying these. Let's see what we will do next. Taking some examples, not all of them. Interesting one. Put this file on the chat and we'll attempt a series of questions on this. While doing so, some new syntaxes may emerge, which we will discuss as and when we encounter them. There is this file called as New York Stock Exchange _ daily.txt. So this file contains the stock prices and the fields also add this onto the chat so that you don't have to type it. So this particular file contains various fields, which are the name of the exchange, the symbol of the stock or the share, then the date, opening price, high price, highest price rather, lowest price, closing price, volume, and the adjusted closing price. And the fields are separated using tab as the delimiter. Hence, we are putting it as \E. Then we are attempting certain questions. So the first question that we are trying to solve is find the maximum and minimum adjusted closing price for each stock. So as we know, this contains the field called as adjusted close. What we are saying is we want to find the maximum and minimum adjusted closing price for each stock. So naturally, what we will have to do is to do a grouping, first of all, on the basis of the stock name, which means this symbol, because symbol is nothing but the stock. For example, in Infosys, the symbol is INFI, as we know. Tata Consultancy Services symbol is TCS. The symbol is nothing but the symbol of the stock on the stock exchange. So for each such symbol, we want to find the maximum and minimum closing price. Naturally, we'll have to first group on the basis of the symbol. Then we will have to run the max and the min function. How do we do it? This statement I have already added to the chat. We load this file into a relation called as daily. Then we group it. How do we group it? On the basis of the symbol field, because symbol is nothing but that's the name of the stock. And then what we do is a bit interesting. So there is a statement called as for each. It's like a looping construct. So what we are saying is for each grouped, okay, we want to generate something. But for us to understand this better, what I'll do is I'll not explain this right now. I'll just add this whole code to a temporary file, I'll make some changes and run so that we understand what we are doing. I'll simply comment out this part of the code for now. Okay, and here I will actually say store grouped into output. We are not doing the max min part yet. We are simply grouping the data on the basis of the stock symbol, and then we are storing the grouped relation into output. Why are we doing this? To know how this grouped structure exactly looks like, so that once we know how this structure looks like, then we know how the for each statement will work. But that is step number 2. Right now we don't want to do this. We just want to understand how the grouping structure looks like. I'll just store this file with a name, let's say called as temp.pic, and I'll run it. But before that, I'll just do the output file. Otherwise, it will complain that the output file already exists. Pic dash is x local temp dot pic. We have created this output directory, which it has. Let's see what it contains. So here is how the grouping structure looks like. Once again, let's take a look at the code. Our code says this part is commented, so this part is not executing. We are saying daily is equal to this, so it will load it. And then grouped is equal to group daily by symbol. And then we have stored it. I will not write the statement. You know, it will store this in the output. So when we have written this grouped into the output file, what it has done is it has first taken CA. And then if you can see, it has created something like a list structure here, or a tuple type of structure here. Okay, all the records for this CA stock are here till we reach the end of CA. This is the impact of grouping. So if we look at the data file, which I have uploaded here, so there must be a stock somewhere called as CA. All these CA records are combined, or they are grouped. Quite a lot, many number of CA records. Selecting all of them. So all these records, CA, they have been put into this type of structure. Why has this happened? Because we have run the group by clause. So outside of this tuple type of structure, you will see CA, name of the stock, on which we have done the grouping, and then all the records individually. So this is the first record, the second record, and so on. As a result, later on, when we say for each group, what will happen? It will go to the first grouping structure, which is CA. And then it will say for each group, generate concatenation of something. What do you want to concatenate? Char array of $0. Pig has this shorthand syntax, $0. $0 means what? $0 is the first field in our grouping structure. What is the first field? The first field is CA, the field which is outside of the grouped structure. So we will get here CA. Then concat that with maximum of adjusted closing price. So from here, it will go to the first record, find out what is the adjusted closing price. Second record, what is the adjusted closing price? Third record, what is the adjusted closing price? And internally, it will compute a maximum of all these for CA. And whatever is the maximum, it will concatenate here. Okay. Then it will do the same thing for minimum. Then what will happen is the processing for CA is over. Then it will go to the next one, which is CB, let's say. Go through all the records, find the closing prices, find which one is the maximum, write to the output. Then for the third stock, and so on. We see now the output. Okay, so I'll now delete this output directory because we know what the grouping structure looks like. Now I will run the entire code. I'll remove this comment. I'll remove this store statement. And we will write or store the max and minimum into the output file. And let me now run this. As we can see, for the stock CA, what is the maximum, what is the minimum? CB, what is the maximum, what is the minimum, and so on for all the stocks. And we have also formatted it by using the concat function. If we don't use the concat function and we simply say for each group dump or generate, we will not be able to see this in the formatted manner. Okay, this is a very interesting example. You can try, and it also shows you that you can temporarily print even the intermediate values for debugging purposes. So in case you are not sure how this is working or you're not sure how to even write the code, go step by step. Wherever you are stuck, at that moment, put a store statement or a dump statement. Then automatically you will know what I have created here. And then from here, how can I extract in order to generate whatever output I want to generate. Okay, so I'll explain the code once again. See if you have any questions, and then you can try it. Put the final code in the pad window. Our aim is to find the maximum and minimum adjusted closing price for each stock. We already have the structure of the data. And first of all, we group the data on the basis of the stock symbol, which is nothing but the second column or second field in our data set. Then there is a statement called as for each, which is used to work on the groups. Okay, so here we say for each group, that is for each record in the group, generate concatenation of something. Of what? So first of all, $0 converted into a char array. $0 is nothing but the field on which the grouping has happened, which is nothing but the symbol, the stock symbol. Concatenate that with text called as max, because we want to put this in the output, followed by the actual maximum value of the adjusted closing price. Okay. Now, one syntactical point that you will notice here is that here we have to specify the name of the original relation. We have to say daily dot adjusted close. Adjusted close is nothing but the column or the field, but we must access it by first adding the name of the relation in which we have read the data set, that is daily. So we say daily dot adjusting closing price, comma. Then we put the text minimum. Then we find out the minimum for that particular stock price. As you can see, this is what I was saying again and again, that using pig, you can write a really powerful code in very, very short number of or less number of lines, for which you may require actually a lot of coding in the traditional programming languages. Okay. Again, I'm not saying it's easy for you to straight away now start writing code like this. I'm just trying to show you the various syntaxes, and you should have different examples with you so that if it comes to you yourself coding such type of code or programs, then you should be fairly comfortable with it. You may have to consult the syntax, do trials and errors. It's not very easy to get it up and running in the first attempt, but at least you should know what is possible, what you can do, and what are the things which are maybe not possible to do in pig also. All right, so try this example. We'll go for a break, and then we'll resume in, let's say, another 15 minutes or so, around 9:18 to 9:20. All right, let's resume our discussion. So, are there any students who have joined after I have taken the attendance? That I'll mark your attendance for the second session. Anyone from division A? Anyone from division B?
So we are in 10.
Yakshita, 10, 29.
Yes.
So 39.
Just give me a second. A, Devraj, Janvi, I have marked. Anyone else? All right, let's resume our discussion. So, next example. So the second one is we want to find the highest volume for each stock. What do we do is we have already done the grouping on the basis of the stock name or the symbol. Now we simply say for each group, generate the group. Or here you can also again say $0, comma, max of daily dot volume. I hope you can see the screen. We have used the same grouping structure which we had created earlier. And here again on the basis of the stock symbol. So either we can say group or $0, comma, max of daily volume. And we either dump it or write it into the output. Quite simple. And here we are not using the concatenation for formatting. You can, of course, add it as well. You can use concat of a $0, then maybe max, then max of daily dot volume, as in the previous example. But here they're simply saying dump. Of course, you'll have to uncomment it. You want to print. So, Tejal, you had asked me this question in the morning. I hope now you can see that these grouping functions have the uppercase syntax. Okay, so if you put here, for example, lowercase or some combination of upper and lowercase, you will get an error.
Yes, sir.
But for other syntaxes, it's not strict. So here we can write for each, uppercase, lowercase, dumb. All these keywords are not case specific, even generate. And skip some ones which are maybe slightly more involved and complex, because that will take quite a bit of understanding. Question 3 I am skipping. Question 4. Find all instances where the opening price is lower than the closing price. That's straightforward. Here we are not required to use any grouping structure, but we actually simply use our basic relation called as daily, and we apply the filter condition. So filter daily by close greater than open. So the equivalent of the where clause, as we saw in one of the previous examples also, is the filter statement. Here we say filter the daily relation only where the closing price is higher than the opening price, and then write all such records into the output. Sometimes what happens is our output directory is already there, and let's say we don't remove it, and then we attempt to recreate it. Then what happens is, suppose for example, in a previous code, we had created the output directory, and now here we once again have this store command. Then Pig will complain saying that the output directory is already existing. It will not be able to recreate it. Obviously, one solution is you keep on saying output 1, next time you say output 2, output 3, but that is a tedious process. There is a simple trick that Pig allows you to do, which is to directly write HDFS type of statements in your Pig script. What does it mean? So let me quickly find out an example where I have it. You can run or include the HDFS command. So here, for example, as we know in Hadoop, we say, for example, HDFS, DFS or FS dash RM dash R output. It will cause the output directory to be deleted, including all its files. So we can directly write this command in our pig script. And therefore, what it will do is it will first remove the output directory so that now we are free to recreate it and store the output the same directory. Okay, so you can write even other HDFS commands if you want inside your pig script. That's something which is quite interesting, because then you can even do whatever file manipulations that you want, which otherwise you have to do at the Hadoop HDFS prompt. Here you don't have to do that. It's almost as if you are running this inside HDFS anyway, and hence you can run the FS command straight away. Try this also. Okay? So maybe after you have an output directory, try running this without this fs command once. It will give you an error saying the output directory already exists, and then add this statement and then see what happens. Maybe for those who are not trying, I'll show this in my case also how it looks like. Okay, so I'll use this temp.pig, where we already have this file created, which means that I should be having this this output directory, which I do have. I'll once again try running this same temp.pig script and see what happens. So it gives us an error that the file pig miscellaneous output already exists, and therefore I'll add the fs command now. First, delete that directory. Right now, it has successfully removed the output directory first, and then it has stored it. In a similar manner, you can add it in your current code also. I want to show you one more feature of pig, and I think then we will stop, which is how to join two relations. Because in the MapReduce programming without Apache Pig, if you do it using Java or Python, we have actually worked only with one data set at a time, because joining multiple data sets programmatically is not very easy in the case of MapReduce. But with pig, it actually becomes very easy, because pig comes with a join statement. And just as we do in the case of SQL, pig has support for all types of joins, that is inner join, outer join, left outer join, right outer join, okay, so all of those. Plus, it also supports union and other types of set theory type of relations. Okay, so I'll just wait for a minute or so for those who are trying to complete this, and then we'll see an example of join. Right, let's take a look at join. Let's say we have two different data sets, one called as nycdaily.txt, which I have already shared with you. And let's say you also have another data set which gives us the dividends that have been announced for the various stocks. Now, what we want to do is to join these two relations on the basis of the stock symbol. Then we have this simple syntax where we say join the first relation, daily. Daily is the name of our first relation. By which column or field symbol. The second relation, which is dividends, again by which column or field symbol. And we simply dump it, or we can store it. As a result, what will happen is this will dump the output of the joined relations. And it's not as if we only have this single join. I'll show you another example where we have all other kinds of joins possible. So here, for example, let's say we have these two files, A, which has one accounts, two science, three statistics and all that. B also has one accounts, three science and all that. And then we load these two relations into A and B respectively. Again, we simply do a normal join. So it says join A by ID, B by ID. So we're not specifying anything such as left, right, outer and all that. So it by default becomes the inner join. Okay, and we dump it. Then we can also do the left join. So we can say join A by ID left, B by ID. Very clearly, we are only taking data from A regardless of whether it's matching with B. But from B, if it's not matching, we will not take it. Similarly, here we are doing the right join. And here we are doing the full join. So regardless of whether there is a match or not, we will display the entire data. So I just maybe paste this code and both files onto the chat. All right, so this is what I really intended to cover in PIG. Since that's not going to be a part of the exam, I don't want to also overburden you with a lot of other features, but I hope at least the curiosity of students, those are interested to know what is PIG and maybe at least a high level of demystification has happened because of this, and that anyway was the aim. Beyond this, if you wish to program in Pig, of course, then you'll have to learn other syntaxes, maybe do more practice of what we are doing. So that may not really be the aim for all the students, and as a result, I'm not going to cover it more detail, as it is time wise also it's not possible. And since today is our last session for this particular subject, I just thought I'll reserve some time towards the end in case anybody wants to discuss anything or has any questions. Of course, since PIG is not a part of the exam, and many students would have other assignments and all that, I was expecting that very few students would join today, which is exactly the case. But among those who have joined, if you have any questions or anything about the subject, exam, or any other questions, feel free to discuss it now. All right, if there are no questions, I'll just, before we formally close, this particular subject for you coming in last semester actually, I think is a bit too late personally, if you ask me. You should have had this syllabus, this subject earlier in the syllabus, so that then you can practice more and try out more examples, because one of the subjects which is quite heavily pursued in the industry. So people are happy if you know that, if they know that you know Hadoop and MapReduce and the various programming aspects of it. Nevertheless, whatever time that was allotted, I hope we at least have had a decent overview of what this subject is all about. In terms of your evaluation, I have already shared the internal marks, and what I have also tried to do, knowing that this is the last semester, in majority of cases, uh, I have tried to give as best possible marks as I can give, so that you don't have any troubles in either getting a job, or if you already secured one, then not have any troubles again in terms of not qualifying for it. Those of you who are thinking of pursuing your post graduation subsequent to your graduation, of course, uh, those students also, uh, these marks will certainly help. Also, there are some students who, after I published the marks, okay, those who had a backlog, they came back and requested that if they have a backlog in this last semester, then they will have various kinds of troubles to face. So I have actually changed the marks in a few cases only for those students who were getting a backlog, and I have tried to clear them. So as far as I remember, there are very few backlogs now after that change was made. But obviously, no change was made just to increase the marks, because I have tried my level best to give uh, as many marks as possible. Most students, of course, some of it is also driven by performance. Some of it is also based on your entire classwork. Some of it is based on what I have seen you do in the class. So all of that definitely has got reflected. But the point is, I sincerely don't want any student to suffer simply because maybe there was a problem at personal or family level, and in some cases there may not even have been a problem. But I understand at your age, sometimes things do happen. You take things lightly, and then realize that you shouldn't have done it. So that's okay sometimes, and I have ignored all such cases, and I have tried to give marks and clear those students. But at the same time, it should not so happen that somebody just takes disadvantage of this and does that in every possible subject. So that's something obviously beyond my control. I can only do whatever is there for this subject, but at the same time, I have also made sure that those students who have been really sincere and have done well have got quite good marks. Okay, so on both sides, sincere attempt has been made. For your external exam, if you have attended most of the lectures and you have tried the examples that we have tried in the class, I would say you should have no difficulties in easily clearing the exam. If you haven't done that and if you have missed some lectures and all that, as I said earlier, do go through the recorded lectures, do consult with your classmates, whosoever was present, and if they are ready to help you, okay, get whatever help that you can. And to answer Shruti's question, in the meanwhile, before exams, if you have doubts, obviously at any point of time, do feel free to approach me. Simplest option would be to use Microsoft Teams, because that's something which I generally keep working with. But obviously, email is also okay. And Shruti, just to maybe add further, it's not just before exams. At any point of time later also, okay, regardless of whether some of you continue to be at SICSR for your post-graduation, and whether I continue to teach there or whatever. In any case, feel free to communicate at any point of time, because there's no pleasure higher than any past students contacting and seeing that they have done very well. So I'm sure many of you will, most of you rather, will do very well. So feel absolutely free to communicate at any point of time, now or even later. And whatever capacity I can assist or help you, I'll definitely try my level best. Because the aim is to see all of you succeed, all of you do very well, all of you very happy, and any contribution towards that, of course, would be a pleasure. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, so the only regret again is I could not have a personal interaction with anyone, barring only Tejal, okay, one student that I had a face-to-face interaction with. That too because she actually wanted some help. So other than that, I could not have any interaction with any student, which obviously is something which I wouldn't have enjoyed as compared to teaching in the class, but that's okay. We have to deal with such situations, but I hope in the future I have a chance to interact with some of you. As a part of teaching this subject, I hope I have done my level best, but again, if I have fallen short of your expectations or not taught well in any area or have not been clear, feel absolutely free to let me know. because only through such feedbacks, I keep saying, one can improve. So that is your right to tell me and do let me know. But in any case, regardless of that, also I hope you overcome all those problems very well. So with this, I declare that we have completed this subject called as big data, all the syllabus contents and whatever is required from the exam perspective. I wish all of you very, very best, both for the exam as well as your future after this exam, as well as any other interviews that you are giving and recruitment processes that you are going through, or post-graduation tests, etc., etc. Fine. So with this, let's stop here. Take care yourself. Take care of yourself and your family. Do very, very well. All right. Thanks and bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.